Hey everybody, Frank here. With a quick announcement, Dan and I are planning a holiday meetup on Thursday, December 21st, right before Christmas, and we'd like you to join us. We're going to do a quick walk around Temple Square. Won't that be fun? And then hit a bar or something downtown, hang out with you guys, chat, and spread some holiday cheer. So if you'd like to join us, send us an email. podcast@thankgodimatheist.com is the address to send that to. And let us know that you want to come along. We'll keep you in the loop as we get closer to the date with, like, time and where exactly to meet us. I hope you can join us. Hey, everybody.
Well, from snowy and Trumpy, Salt Lake City, Utah,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
the podcast.
I'm Frank Feldman.
And I'm Uncle Mark from The How To Heretic, and occasionally from this seat on TGIA.
Yeah. And coming up today on the show, we're going to be talking about courtship culture, the evangelical courtship culture.
Some tips on how to engage, how to make it work for you.
Yeah. How to get your 15-year-old
Yeah.
at the mall.
How to get a learner's permit and a husband at the same time. We laugh because it's so funny.
Yeah, of course, this is the ongoing discussion about Roy Moore. Good old Uncle Roy
Yeah.
with his
10 Commandments,
bags
Roy.
of candy, handing them out to...
Down at the
Hey,
playground.
would you like some candy, little girl?
The classic American pedophile.
Gross. Oh, shit. All right. Well, first up, should I go first?
Sure.
All right. Well, turns out there's a big development at the Church of Sweden that's
No kidding.
that's upsetting a few people. They are officially going to stop referring to God as He or Lord. God is now gender neutral. The church says that God is beyond human gender determination, and so they're shifting their whole thing. It's going to start in May or something like that during Pentecost, actually. And
Pentecost.
the great.
Those are great times.
So yeah, no more he.
Huh. How about that?
Yeah.
I wonder if because it's so cold in Sweden, much like it is in this studio right now, that they're just shivering and their heads are full of stupid ideas, and they forgot that God is clearly a he.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess this is some of the controversy that has popped up about this is that it now makes belief in the traditional understanding of the Trinity a little bit more complicated. You have God the Father, Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
like
it was an all male three-way prior to this.
Yeah, exactly. And so, like, what are you to do now? I mean, Jesus clearly is a he. Yeah. So
that's a science fact.
This doesn't even seem Christian anymore.
Yeah,
this seems downright. I don't know.
Well,
spacey. This is a little spacey.
It is a little spacey, and you don't want to misgender your God, but first question I have is: Sweden has a church anymore at all?
Well, this is the former state church of Sweden. It is now, I think, a lot less officially so. It's Evangelical Lutheranism, whatever that is. I think
sounds wonderful.
That's the good one.
Yeah.
Clearly,
yeah.
If they're coming to these conclusions,
right?
They're not. Missouri Synod,
right?
Lutherans.
I think there's a rush in atheism to say all religions are equally bad.
Right.
All religions are bad.
Yeah.
Some are way worse than others.
Right.
As far as outcomes of human happiness, survival, and genital integrity. Right. But I would say these guys are probably, I'm guessing they're probably closer to universal Unitarian,
Yeah. Yeah. If you're going to be forced to, if you guns to your head and you have to just pick one.
Right.
Pick one off the list, you have to join it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be no, give me the gun.
Yeah.
I'm I'd probably
go
pick,
for these guys.
Church of Sweden.
These guys are probably not going to, drive a car bomb into a marketplace.
No.
Right.
No, they're going to be driven into.
Right. Probably. Well, good for them. So gender-neutral God.
Gender-neutral God. This is one more step toward just basically no God.
No God. Exactly.
You
It's
know,
like
God doesn't have a gender. Well, does God even have to exist?
you're starting to realize that they don't really matter.
Right.
Right. And that if human beings can decide what the gender of this thing is, then it means it's not really a thing.
Right. Well, I was actually, though, thinking a little bit about what this could mean for the trans people of Sweden who might still be religious or just in Sweden and hearing this message from the former state church. Right. Or anybody who might be sort of, gender fluid or whatever. This is actually a really powerful message, I would think, if you were... if you'd had some gender fluidity yourself, in your life.
Right. To see something, I don't know how conservative or powerful an institution that the Church of Sweden is still seen in society seen as. But I mean, if a what is probably traditionally a very conservative organization is like, it's better that we...
Let's not focus on this whole he thing.
Yeah, it's got to say something, I would think. I wonder if any of your trans Swedish listeners would like to chime in.
Maybe they will.
The lines are open. You can call in.
Call now.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah. So, all right.
Well, I have a fun one.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, this is less gender positive or sex positive, but it's pretty damn funny.
Okay.
Lance Wallnow, whoever that guy is, says Trump will have an encounter with God and start quoting the Bible at an unprecedented rate. Now, first of all, the rate of precedented Bible quotation for Donald Trump is like a couple of major dick-tripping disasters.
Right.
With 2 Corinthians. And
right.
Remember that time somebody asked him what his favorite Bible verse was, and he said, "It's too private."
Is that what he said?
It's too personal.
It's too personal.
It's too personal. It's probably in...
Wasn't just all of them.
It's the all of them, Katie. It's the one in the Song of Solomon about the amount of isn't it Song of Solomon the amount of semen is like that of a donkey or something?
That's his favorite verse.
It's probably his favorite verse.
It's just too personal.
Yeah. So right-wing preacher Lance Wallnow streamed a video last night in which he declared that President Trump has been chosen and anointed by God. We might talk about this a little later, this idea, and prophesies that Trump will have a divine encounter with God in January that will cause him to quote the Bible in public at an unprecedented rate. Please don't make this worse. In the name of Jesus, I prophesy that Donald Trump is going to experience a fresh encounter of the Lord in January of this new year and begin Bible quoting. Yeah, you already said that. Not since Lincoln will we find a president who will be such a quoter of the Bible. He is going to find verses and apply them to national incidents and international situations.
All right.
Wallnow called for God's anointing to fall upon Trump so that Trump's enemies cannot entrap him. May this man be anointed with fresh oil from on high, so that he...
that's all he needs.
So that he is
more oil. That's what that man needs.
Oh my God, you're going to vomit. So that he is so slippery the enemy can't get a hold of him.
Oh, God.
And he keeps on eluding the snare of the fowler. And they will fall into the pit they have dug for themselves, he declared. For it is not against man that they are fighting, but against he whom God has anointed, and who is man to question who God has chosen. I just can't wait for Trump just verbatim recalling the Sermon on the Mount or something like that. It's just
God. I just love, I was reading about, I read this article this week about Trump's diet.
Yeah.
And the four food groups
he doesn't need any more oil
that he eats are Filet-O-Fish, pizza. It was
Kentucky Fried Chicken,
and Diet Coke. Those are the 4 food groups of Donald Trump.
Fuck.
So yeah, more oil. Let's anoint he's already anointing.
I'm
himself.
in my 40s, and I'm like, I never eat fast food because I'm like, if I eat one Burger King hamburger, I'm gonna have a heart attack. You know what I mean?
That's not true. That's not.
But it's on my mind.
It's yeah.
It's on my mind. Yeah, and he eats apparently like half a bucket of chicken.
Yeah.
I was maybe the same article where it was he had for one dinner two Big Macs and 2 fillet of fish, and somebody was like, "That's 3,800 calories or something."
Oh my God, that's so
and
disgusting.
probably half a pound of salt.
Well, I mean, you see him out of a suit and just like in his golf wear, and you're like, yeah, that makes sense.
Out of his giant hefty bag suit.
Yeah. But it just goes to show how slimming a suit can be, how flattering a man's suit can be.
A poncho. Do you remember it used to be a thing that the president would have a physical every year?
Oh, yeah.
And it was reported.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, the president's blood pressure's this, and he's could lose a couple pounds, but he's fine. You know?
Right.
I wonder if we're going to find out if that's ever going to be public again.
Well, we go the way of his tax returns.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's in a vault at the IRS somewhere. So anyway, look for the president to be oilier, slipperier, and Bible-ier.
Oh, great.
Because that'll be awesome.
Well, here's some news from Greece that's actually strange and surprising.
Following on the greasy story.
And just weird. Yeah. Just more greasy.
Oh, that Greece.
The
country.
The country Greece.
Oh,
great. They're doing away with they're apparently in Western Thrace, which
region,
borders which I believe borders Turkey.
Okay,
I think there is still on the books laws that enforce compulsory Sharia
in Greece.
Okay. Now this goes back to the end of the Ottoman Empire.
Okay.
This is they're finally fixing some things from back then.
Okay.
Right. When the Ottoman Empire ended, there was actually a bit of a negotiated sort of resettlement of various minority groups.
And was that Ataturk when he took over and made secular Turkey? And
I think Ataturk came a little bit later.
Oh, okay.
Because just I don't know that for sure, but just based on some of the things in this article, because I know that he was very secular, and it sounds like some of these initial reforms weren't necessarily all that secular. But nonetheless, there was an assumption that basically Sharia would continue in Turkey at this point. But they were trading religious minority groups. Okay. So they were saying those 5,000 people are ours, move them to Greece, and we'll trade them for those 5,000 Turks over there.
Like you do.
And bring them back home.
It's kind of the India-Pakistan thing, right? It's like, all right, you just, everybody just move.
Go across this new line in the soil, and because you're going to like life a lot better if you're just over on our side versus their side.
Right.
Well, but they negotiated that 110,000 Greeks stay in Istanbul, and that 110,000 Muslims stay in Western Thrace. But part of the deal was that Sharia would be enforced for those 110,000 Muslims.
Oh, so was this like a peacekeeping attempt to be like, all your people are over here? And
I think it was mainly just the volume. It was the numbers of people that would be displaced.
Gotcha.
They were like, okay, a few hundred people here, a few hundred people there. Right. That's not that big of a deal. That's not going to completely disrupt.
Yeah.
Too many lives would be too expensive. But this was like ripping 110,000 Greeks out of Istanbul at that point probably would have destroyed the economy of the city. Who knows? I don't know. I don't know what the thinking was.
Right.
But there was just.
But Sharia wasn't imposed on the non-Muslims.
In Western Thrace, no. Right. Just regular Greek law. Well, but this is still happening today, right?
In modern
Greece.
Country of Greece?
Yeah. And so they're actually going to put an end to it. And it's really weird because you're right. When Ataturk came along, they secularized. They switched to more sort of European style set of laws.
Yeah.
And they were going west, right? Like that was their whole thing.
Yeah.
And so the Greeks that were living in Istanbul, it was just like, oh, great, no big deal, right? But then but there was no reform that took place at the same time in Greece to help these people out who were still living under Sharia.
Weird.
Right? It just kept happening.
Oh, I see. So the The Turks were living in a very secular society.
Right.
But the weird. These Muslims, formerly Turkish Greeks,
right,
were living under this primitive system in a more modern country.
In a more modern country. Right, that is actually a member of the European Union.
That is a hot mess.
And so they're going to do away with it, and they're going to make it sort of voluntary. And if one member of whatever...
I want to volunteer to live under Sharia law.
Well, people do, though.
I know.
You know? But if one member of any kind of disputed situation, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's like inheritance or divorce or anything like that, if one participant chooses to go with the Greek laws, they all have to go with the Greek laws. Whereas right now, they're all just forced to go with the Sharia system.
That is a better idea.
It's much better. So they'll still be able to opt into it. It'll still be there.
But let's say there's a woman wants to leave a man under Sharia, but if they're Greek, she can say no.
Right, exactly.
It's secular. It's the normal laws of Greek society.
Right.
And he has to abide by that.
And then he has
until
to
he sets her on fire with cooking oil like you do.
Right.
Yeah.
And then he gets to be tried in a Sharia court. They're like, yeah, that's what you do.
What a mess.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine living in a system like that.
Yeah.
You know, where you have like the two options or whatever. I mean,
and living among Greek people who are just like, whatever, dude, like,
yeah,
who are, fairly free except for their terrible economic downturn.
Right, exactly.
And the rise of the weird Greek Nazis and...
Yeah, I mean, but maybe you want Sharia. I don't know.
Maybe it's better.
Sharia might work a little bit better.
Fuck.
I mean, to be honest, I don't know how a Sharia court really works and all that kind of stuff. But like,
well, it's just Quranic law, right? So it's shitty, and it's also open to the interpretation of whatever
mufti is,
whatever quote unquote judge you're sitting in front of,
right?
So it's generally not good.
Right. All right.
So
that's happening. Finally,
that's fascinating.
All of Greece will join the 21st century.
I've never heard of that.
Or at least the late 20th century.
What a weird problem you have, Greece. Sort your shit out. All right. Well, in the spirit of the season, good news. Breitbarter says Trump effect won the war on Christmas. And Thanksgiving. So I'm sure you saw his well-attended Christmas tree lighting, which was as well-attended as his inauguration.
Oh.
Just tumbleweeds and Nazis. Breitbart Rome bureau chief. They have a Rome bureau chief. Does the New York Times have a Rome bureau chief anymore?
I don't.
So Breitbart apparently has a Rome bureau chief. Tom Williams appeared on Breitbart Daily Radio program today to celebrate that more Americans have been openly expressing their faith and saying Merry Christmas, thanks to what he dubbed the Trump effect.
How are they coming up with these numbers? Is there some methodology?
How are they coming up with these numbers, Frank? You know what's making the Trump effect that's making people say Merry Christmas is the warmth and beauty of the White House Christmas decorations this year.
Oh, I know.
Somebody was saying, if people think you're evil, you don't get to do sticks and shadows for Christmas. So anyway, this morning on Breitbart Daily News, I've got the giggles today. It's the cold. Host Alex Marlow spoke with Williams about international issues and the White House tree lighting ceremony. Marlow asked Williams if there was more for the president to be doing to promote Christmas, to which Williams responded that he hopes that the Trump administration continues the work it's been doing. People were really fed up with the war on Christmas that we've seen over the last few years, and really during the entirety of the Obama years. Blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, it goes on from there. But he also said there was a war on Thanksgiving, apparently.
War on Thanksgiving? Everybody loves Thanksgiving.
I was eating my turkey this year just thinking that I need to destroy this tradition somehow.
War on Thanksgiving is absurd.
Now,
absolutely absurd.
There are wars at the table on Thanksgiving, and that is as American as apple pie and, heart disease and Kentucky Fried Chicken. But, even Bill O'Reilly, I'd never heard the war on Thanksgiving. I didn't know that was... That was a thing.
Well, nonetheless, declaring victory in the war, good. The war's over.
Yeah.
let's hold them to this. Actually, yeah, you guys won.
Yeah,
and just let them
And by the way, I don't know
what war. There's people being offended by somebody saying Happy Holidays at a corporate department store chain.
Yeah,
right. Because that's what it was. What war on fucking Christmas? Right. I mean, I guess there's
and it was private enterprise
moving nativity scenes off of public grounds.
Right.
There was that. I mean, okay. I guess that's a little bit of
but that was
a battlefield.
That was a defensive action in the war on Christmas, right? That was just the rest of the world defending itself against the slop over of of Christianity.
Right.
But Christmas is the largest fucking American holiday.
Right.
I mean, more money changes hands during the Christmas season than any other time of year.
Right.
Jews have Christmas trees.
Right.
I don't know what this fake, ginned up garbage war on Christmas that they think is that's why it's easy for them to declare victory in it, because it never happened.
Right.
Right.
Let them have the victory. I don't care.
If
we can finally just let this go away.
Right.
Right. Lay this to rest. It's done. Fine.
Are you
in this as a talking point? It's so dumb.
Are you bugged by the president lighting the national Christmas tree?
Who cares?
I don't really care.
I really don't care.
It's like pardoning the turkey.
Right.
There is a symbolic nature to the job.
Right.
And in addition to all the things that presidents normally are supposed to do properly, there's that garbage. There's celebrating lighting the menorah for the Jews on Hanukkah and the Feast of Eid. And fine. These are all parts of our society. Yeah. And it's okay. I feel like it's completely okay for the president to acknowledge those things.
Well, and I think if the president is going around and acknowledging all of them, right, and is actually participating at different religious events equally, and
and not declaring himself a combatant in any of these pretend wars, which is what Trump is definitely doing.
Right. But if he stays away from the nonsense, then go do all the other stuff. Who cares?
The Easter egg roll. Who cares?
Nobody
Halloween
cares.
At the White House. Who cares?
It's cute.
It's cute and it's fun and it's it humanizes somebody. He's not having much luck with that, but
especially not Melania. Oh. Did you see her standing behind the ballet dancers, all stiff and rigid, just like a robot?
It's like Hunger Games style. She was judging which would live, right? And also, when Trump lit the Christmas tree, this schmuck Stephen Miller is probably writing his speeches, but he's like, it doesn't matter what faith or religion you are or you practice. We all agree in the miracle of Jesus Christ. I was just like, does anybody proofread any of this stuff? And he's whenever he tries to do the religious pandering, he is just lost.
Yeah,
he's just in one of Melania's spooky forests. So, anyway, good news, everybody. The war on Christmas has been won by Trumpism.
Yeah, but at the same time, the separation of church and state is being.
That war wages on.
That wages on.
Again, as American as anything else.
Ooh, all right. So there is a bill right now that just came out of committee in Congress. It's going to be going on to the House floor for discussion. This bill is designed to allow churches to receive FEMA aid in the wake of hurricanes and natural disasters and so forth and so on. It's called the Disaster Recovery Reform Act, also known as HR 4460. If you like to,
otherwise known as Let's
Google alert.
Let's Gold Leaf Joel Osteen Act of 2017.
And this would take away this long-standing exemption that prevents churches from receiving aid to rebuild. Now, the argument for this is that churches are often, housing disaster victims, and some of them
do
an important role.
Some of them do provide relief and do good shit.
But the one thing that we cannot forget is that they also don't pay taxes.
They don't contribute.
They do not pay into our system,
right,
in any tangible way,
right,
any real way, and And consequently, I don't know. I don't think that they should be.
Totally
if
agree.
you guys want to pay taxes, then sure, let's rebuild you.
Right.
But until you start paying your taxes
Yep.
on your monthly windfall of money, your weekly windfall
And
of
just
money.
your giant fucking properties.
Yeah.
Just pay property taxes.
Property tax would be great.
Just pay property taxes that go to schools, right? That,
Sure.
that fund local schools and
Yeah.
in your municipalities.
That would be a great start. Yeah.
But they refuse to, of course.
They will not do it.
Yep.
That's an assault.
And in fact,
That's,
the IRS language originally, what was written for these tax exemptions, basically that's an offset for charitable work done.
Right.
So you are, in lieu of cash money, you're providing something to the community beyond the spiritual whatever of your voluntary congregants.
Right.
Right. That's not what you're getting tax exemption for. You're getting tax exemption for providing other services to the community or the world at large. And, I wish there was a way to, I don't think there's any auditing of that idea. Churches aren't forced to say, okay, we fed this many people.
Right.
We did this Christmas drive. We did this, it's not scrutinized.
Right. They're not filling out their taxes at the end of the year and listing all the good stuff.
Like you and I have
offset. Right.
Like you and I have to, if we contribute to charity, they have to prove they have
no
prove
burden of
nothing.
proof. Nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think if they want to remain tax exempt as per that agreement, then great. That should be documented and audited, and they should have to prove it like all the rest of us do.
But even if they did that, would that mean that they deserve FEMA dollars to rebuild?
I think if they were feeding, not every church has like homeless outreach,
Right.
But if they could prove we have fed 20,000 hungry people this year, we have contributed to this, housing,
Right.
yada yada yada. It's like, okay, well you're offsetting some of what government does,
And so that money could go toward, restoring the historic Oregon that got flooded out.
Fuck that.
So, but maybe toward rebuilding the
service
kitchen,
end.
the soup kitchen itself,
Yeah.
and the little warehouse that they work out of
Yeah, and now, and to add insult to injury, in this boondoggle nightmare of a tax bill, there's the repeal of the Johnson Amendment.
Right.
So not only do they not want to pay taxes, they now want, the speech that we subsidize that they have anyway,
Right.
because their speech is, they contribute nothing to having free speech. We contribute to them having free speech. Now they want even more free speech and still pay nothing. So I'm against it.
Yeah. Well, clearly this is all going to happen. It feels like it's going to happen.
Well, they're already, churches are already challenging the Johnson Amendment and just saying, we endorse Roy Moore, sue us. And who's enforcing it? Trump's IRS? Yeah.
Yeah.
So any Canadian listeners, Frank and I are clean. We're industrious. We can help out. If you have a little mother-in-law's apartment, you've got a dog. I've got 3 cats.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be great.
Easy. It'll be really nice.
Your national anthem's beautiful.
I'd probably prefer Vancouver over just about anywhere in Alberta.
Yeah. But we love you, Alberta. If nobody in Vancouver calls, we'll take Alberta.
I'll go ride the indoor roller coaster at the East Edmonton Mall or whatever it's called.
That
West
sounds
Edmonton,
wonderful.
East Edmonton.
It's better than riding the roller coaster of opening your Twitter feed here every day in America. All right, shall I go?
Sure.
Okay. One more Christmas story. Just, I don't know why, it's the season, and I'm in the spirit, and the war's over. A Christian pastor ruins Christmas for families taking pictures with Santa.
What? No.
Yeah. Because why just be a regular old evangelical when you can also be a terrible dick?
Oh, my God.
So a self-proclaimed pastor recently walked into a store in Alaska where kids and parents were waiting to take pictures with Santa and yelled to the crowd that Santa didn't really exist. Their parents put the presents under the trees, and Jesus Christ was the real reason for the season. This isn't the first time Pastor David Grisham... David Grisham? Is that the guy who writes the books? John Grisham.
John Grisham,
okay.
yeah.
Maybe this is his brother. David Grisham has done this. He's done it in Texas.
Oh, dear.
And he put on, let's see, he did the same thing in the mall in Texas, and in 2010 with his group Repent Amarillo. That's my favorite Kinks song, Repent Amarillo. He published a video of Santa getting shot by a firing squad.
Oh, my God.
This man is full of Christmas cheer. And in the video, it's like the crowd's not really like paying much attention to him because they just think he's a crazy person.
Right.
But, you know, he's right.
He is a
Santa
crazy
doesn't
person.
exist.
Right. Well done. We all know that.
Yeah, just go.
Nobody in line except for maybe the youngest children actually think that Santa's real.
Right. So yell at them that the happy, nice thing doesn't exist.
Right.
But then tell them that the strange itinerant Jewish preacher that there are no actual firsthand accounts of is totally for real.
Right.
That walks on water. And
I like Santa. I like that Santa teaches small children to how to deal with the disappointment of finding out that their God doesn't exist.
Yeah,
right?
It's
like
okay.
It prepares you.
Neither of us have children. What would you do, honestly? What would, if you had kids? What would your approach to the Santa story be?
It would be you set out Santa, you know, all your little Santa stuff, maybe. It's Santa, you know, look at, you know, go to the walk through the mall and look at Santa. Never once saying that it's real.
Yeah.
Right. This is basically what my mom did.
Really?
Yeah.
Your Mormon mom.
And then the first time there's a question, first time there's anything, it's just like, yeah, no, it's just a fun thing.
Yeah.
That's it.
I think I would do the same thing, even though I have other complicated feelings about celebrating Christmas generally.
Right.
But if you're in American society and you don't want your kids to be those weird kids in school who get picked on because they don't have TV and all that, you know, you don't want to be those people. There's all this social pressure to participate in these things. I'd say, yeah, of course, it's a fun thing, but it's not real.
It's not real.
He's just a character. Like you watch a movie.
Right.
That's just a character. It's an actor playing a part.
Yeah.
But it's a really fun thing.
The question is, though, would you let your child dress up as a Disney princess?
My son, yes. Absolutely. My daughter, no. She will be gender neutral. They, no. Would I? Yeah. Would you not?
Me? Well, I don't like the whole princess culture thing. I think it sets girls up for something that's
a bad
not all that.
Gender role.
A bad gender role, mainly. Yeah. I think it's rough. But I mean that's beside the point. Would I?
No.
I'd much rather have some fun play about, you know, the Easter Bunny and Santa Claus and witches and ghosts at Halloween, you know, than
like Halloween's the perfect, you know, exercise to talk about this, which is, you know, kids are super scared of a lot of it, but they also it's so fun.
Right.
And I think it's really, it's a very interesting cultural phenomenon.
Yeah.
And it's really, you know, fun to see what kids gravitate to as, you know, this is the character I want to kind of inhabit this year. And that's fascinating to me.
Yeah.
But nobody's saying to their kids, oh, you can't be a werewolf because they're real. You're right.
Right.
Everybody knows these are all not real things.
Right.
Right.
And I think, I don't know, I would think, and again, I don't have kids and I don't plan on having kids, but like, I would think that these would be great moments to be able to have very interesting discussions with a kid about what's real, what's not real. How do we, you know, kind of, you know, process, you know, these stories that get told us, and, you know, and you work in Jesus, you know, and be like, hey, listen, like people actually do believe in Jesus. Yeah. But in like large numbers, even after they're children, right?
It is bizarre.
But it's, you know, it's all basically the same thing. It's just, it's mythology, it's tradition, it's what you're raised with, and
it is funny that
like it doesn't have to be that big of a deal, and you can have those practice conversations maybe with Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny.
It's funny that Christian parents set their kids up.
Oh yeah, beautifully.
And that they believe, like kids believe in Santa Claus. They're told this is a real thing, and the National Weather Service, who NORAD tracks the sleigh, and like society participates in this thing. So these Christian parents are setting their kids up to have this heartbreak moment when they realize, oh, that's not real.
Right.
That's odd to me.
Yeah. But I think it's good practice.
It's good. It's very good practice.
Like right in this deep, dark place, you just need to swoop in and be like, oh yeah, and Jesus isn't real either.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
That's what we should do at the mall. We should just be in our throne, the secular disappointment Santa. All right.
Well, if you have other disappointments of the season, please do let us know about them. You can email us. The email address is podcast@thankgodimatheist.com. Or you could call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442. We've got a great, vibrant community going on over on Facebook. Check it out, facebook.com/TGIAtheist. And if you're looking for just a great place to go find other like-minded people, have great discussions about everything that's going on, you can also search for the TGIA Members Only Lounge. It's a moderated group, so it stays civil.
Yeah, it's heavily moderated, I think. It's yeah.
It has to be.
It's troll-free, right?
Troll-free. Hey guys, maybe you're like me and you have a hard time figuring out something to give that special guy for Christmas. Well, this holiday, Harry's is offering custom and limited edition shaving sets that really make an awesome gift. I have tried this out, folks, and I've got to say, I love using my Harry's razor. I couldn't believe it. I looked at those 5 blades and thought, really? We need an extra blade on there? I don't know if it was the 5th blade or just the overall design, but it's a extremely comfortable shave. And with the holidays upon us, let's face it, even though we're a bunch of atheists, we like to get people stuff. And to be honest, the packaging's so nice, I felt really special, very special, when it arrived. The gift set includes, of course, their German-engineered 5-blade cartridges that provide an awesome, close, comfortable shave. There's a foaming gel that smells great, special limited edition winter chrome and emerald green handles, and you can personalize it with engraving. These are amazing quality products at super reasonable prices. Sets come ready to give in beautifully designed gift boxes, and they start for just $10. And as a special offer for our listeners, we've partnered with Harry's to give you $5 off your order when you go to harrys.com/TGIA. And this offer is only available for the holidays, so go take advantage of it. And you might even find something for yourself at Harry's. This holiday, give Harry's and give handsome. Get your holiday shopping done early and take advantage of free shipping. To get a limited edition holiday shave set while supplies last, go to harrys.com/TGIA right now. That's harrys.com/TGIA. Hey, Mark.
Yeah.
It's been a while since we've had Pat Robertson on the show.
Has it been?
Pat Robertson. Yeah. His crazy is getting old. He just doesn't say it as...
Do
I don't
these
know.
fuckers ever die?
I don't know.
They're just like cockroaches. They just maintain.
Anyway, but he decided to open his mouth this week. This is all about, all the sexual harassment charges that have been coming forward.
I'm sure he's got just the right take on it.
Oh, yeah. It actually starts out okay.
Okay.
And then
he starts talking.
In just one moment. Right. Chef, so let's take a listen.
Years ago, we had a makeup lady working here at CBN, and she had previously worked on a show called Hawaii Five-0.
Yeah, Hawaii Five-0.
The old version.
Yeah, the old version.
And she said we were expected as staff members to provide, quote, sexual favors to guests who came on the show.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, and they said that was standard stuff. They were expected to do that. And I'm afraid that there were so many young starlets who this was standard stuff, that they were expected to give sexual favors to high-powered executives in Hollywood. I mean, that was standard stuff. Now it's looked on as shocking, but folks, it's been happening a long time, and nobody said anything about it. And now they're finally wising up. But I just hate to see some of these men's careers. I mean, guys like Charlie Rose, these are terrific people, and I hate to see it happen.
It is shocking, and you hope that the allegations aren't as severe as being reported. We don't know the facts yet. We don't know if this is just one woman's account versus Matt Lauer. We don't know, but we just pray.
These guys don't have a trial either. They don't have the rules of evidence to force these accusers to come forward with, the preponderance of evidence is what you get in a trial. You don't have that now, so these people's careers are being ruined, and we just hope and pray that the women are telling the truth. But this Me Too thing, let me get in and do it. You got Roy Moore down in Alabama. He said, I didn't do any of it. Well, that's his statement. And they've got these people who are claiming he did, and he said, I didn't. So,
Well, in a case like, Harvey Weinstein or somebody like that, where you have so many women you can't even count them.
That's right.
Then where there's smoke, there's fire.
Well, anyhow, I'm sorry. Well, let's go away from that.
Okay. That's hilarious.
Amazing.
That's hilarious. First of all, Pat Robertson likes Charlie Rose.
Must do. Good man.
Good man. Wow.
So
it took an amazing turn at the end there, but we'll get there.
Well, yeah. I mean, at first he's like talking about like, oh yeah, like he's totally corroborating like, and there's this woman who told me the story about sexual favors and blah blah blah, and clearly he's like totally believing her.
Right. From the old Hawaii Five-0, which was on the air in the 60s.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But he's like, yeah, she said it. Clearly it must be true.
And it's about liberal Hollywood.
Right. And so he's fine with
done
it.
And done.
Right.
Yeah.
But then as soon as it's Roy Moore or anybody in the media.
Right.
Right. Who
anybody on his side of the media.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Then he's like, well, the preponderance of it.
No. This is not about going to jail or fines or punish. This is not about punishment, right?
Right.
This is about somebody's reputation.
Yeah.
That's what this is.
Well, and also I love that the people who were screaming to, lock Hillary up because she, went against some State Department protocol and, that Obama was clearly a Muslim from Kenya. All of a sudden they're obsessed with evidence and proof. Uh-huh. All of a sudden it has to be proved beyond a shadow of a doubt.
Right.
And, so much sexual harassment is a conversation or a moment between two people with no one else around.
Right.
There's no proof.
Right.
Right. There's rarely any evidence.
Right.
Right. It's just simply the word of someone versus the word of someone else.
Right.
And unfortunately, that's fucked up because it favors the, perpetrator generally.
Yeah.
And
but now all of a sudden there's been a shift.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
It's scary for someone like Pat Robertson.
Yeah, one wonders if... Did you see Geraldo Rivera on Twitter the other day just going through the roof about, well, what if their reputations are being ruined? Like, what sexual harassment anyway? Nobody can even define what it is. I mean, and it's like,
my God.
Geraldo, darling, what did you do? What did you do for years and years and years? And working at Fox News.
No kidding.
So yeah, and then at the end, when it's like, after saying, well, Roy Moore says he didn't do it, so...
Right. So good enough for me.
We're good there. What about Harvey Weinstein? Obviously.
I think the co-host here is up to, like... I think she got that in as a little jab.
Oh, you do?
Because her whole thing is, when there's so many accusers, he says the whole thing, and then she goes, well, and sometimes there's so many accusers, which of course there are with Roy Moore. You'd have to be living under a rock to not know.
Yeah.
And Pat Robertson immediately takes the bait. He's like, oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then he's like, yeah, and then he starts to shift the topic away. Right?
Well, I will say that Harvey Weinstein seems to be leading in the medals count.
No, that's true.
At this point.
Right.
But what's Roy Moore up to? Like, is it over 10 people?
9 is the number that was in my mind. But if there have been more, I haven't been paying that close of attention to his count.
I haven't checked in 2 minutes, yeah. So.
Exactly. All right, well, let's go to some emails.
Yep.
This is from Rebecca. She says, love the show. You guys are the best, et cetera, et cetera. My husband is a firefighter, and every year they donate a truckload of toys, something like $2,000, including bikes and all the cool crap of the year. Last year, they did the Marines Toys for Tots, but they decided against this year because the next closest fire department had their toys returned to them after the Marines thought that the people were driving too nice of cars to need toys, blah, 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 for their kids. I don't love that, but I can't fault them for not wanting to donate to a group that decides if your car's too good. Okay. Oh, so she's saying, yeah, good. Don't donate to the Toys for Tots, because who are you the fuck to judge?
To
right?
judge. Okay.
Anyway, they couldn't think of anyone to donate to besides the fucking Salvation Army. So a shit ton of toys were given to a church. Do you guys have any ideas about any other groups that do drives? They love giving stuff, but I just can't let them keep giving to such a shitty church like the Salvation Army.
Yeah.
And then she kind of clarifies that this is the association of the fire department. It's not actually the municipal side of the whole thing. This is like a organization,
the union or something like that.
Yeah, or something along those lines. Right. And so basically, what we kind of thought about this and talked about it a little bit about, where could you give a bunch of toys if that's what these firefighters want to be doing. And
what's frightening. What's tough is you really have to do due diligence, because when you drill down into so many charities, they're kind of stealthily Christian, right, or stealthily religious, and so it's doesn't the Salvation Army require participation before aid? Isn't that kind of their thing?
I don't.
I think they do
something along those lines. If nothing else, their thrift store and the proceeds from the thrift store also do help the church operate and that kind of stuff, from my understanding.
And it's a super LGBTQ unfriendly church organization. But I do think that that service is in exchange for participation. So
gotcha.
You have to go to a praise session or something before you can get a meal.
Okay. Right.
Generally. And I think that's probably the same for receiving toys and
sure. And that's the thing about the Salvation Army, is that it has this name that we I don't know why we don't hear the word salvation when we say it, but I know I don't. I think
it's just such an old, kind of considered venerable institution, at least in America.
The bell ringers, and we just kind of forget what it is.
Yeah, you grow up with it. It's in the
realize it half the time. But anyway, so avoid the bell ringers if you can.
Totally.
As far as like giving,
I would say give your money directly to a panhandler rather than a bell ringer. Yeah, because at least that's direct. And whatever that person does with it is whatever that person does with it.
Sure.
Right. So
I personally don't encourage panhandling, but
rather than the bell ringer, definitely
it would be preferred. Yeah. But we came up with a great idea. Actually, you came up with a great idea, which would be to find a school. Yeah. In your area that maybe has a lot, maybe it's like a Title I school, which means that there's a lot of kids living in poverty. Right. There's a high percentage of kids living in poverty that attend that school. And maybe there's a principal who'd be able to help set something up or something along those lines.
I think it's a brilliant idea. One civic organization to another civic organization,
exactly.
Public organization to another, directly with no middleman, directly helping kids in the community.
Yeah, and it's going to go out to a broad swath of kids. It's going to go to the kids in need in that particular community, that have, probably parents who are of all religious backgrounds, all ethnic backgrounds. Yep. And so it's probably the best way to actually reach a broad community, period.
Yeah, and it's local, and I think it stays in your community, and it probably requires a little more legwork than just plugging into an existing charity. But it probably doesn't require a lot. Right. I'll bet the school would be down with it. I'll bet they'd, love to serve their kids that way. Right. And, firefighters are the good guys in the community. I'm sure they'd love to be part of that too. So I think that's kind of a fun idea. Yeah. And I don't know what your circumstances were, Frank, but I grew up, we weren't poor, but for some reason we were obsessed with acting like it.
Okay.
And so Christmas, it lived in a fairly affluent neighborhood. So for us and for the other poor kids that I was kind of around, Christmas mostly just made everybody feel like shit.
Yeah.
Right? Because you didn't get the skis and you didn't get the car and you didn't get the awesome clothes. So even though I have no love for Christmas, that any way that can be mitigated, I think, and if you can do it directly through the school and in your community, maybe that's a really positive thing.
Huh. All right. I think it's a great idea. All right. And then we have an email from Julie, and she says, in response to the sexual harassment controversy, I have some thoughts. I have seen or participated in several conversations about this, including some on the TGIA Members Only Lounge. And I'm nearly always disappointed by the response from males. There have been some great, really thoughtful and considerate responses, but they are always in the minority, nearly drowned out by the, quote, not all men, nervous breakdowns, and cries of witch hunts. Never mind that women are being assaulted and harassed and treated like second-class citizens. Somehow it's the men who are the true victims here. The harassment is obviously a huge problem and disheartening, but I don't know a single female who is surprised by the quantity of cases that have come out. We know this is everywhere. This is not news. What I find far more disheartening is the response from the general population of males. The harassment comes from a place of asserting power over people they don't view as equal, and the response to the controversy shows that. At risk of overgeneralizing, most men, or at least far more than are actively preying on women, have a parallel lack of respect for women. This is no surprise, as it has been shown in many other ways, but it's never been more clear than now. It's something I see from other majority groups as well. For example, white people immediately breaking down into petty irrationality at the idea that there is still racial inequality in the U.S. Until we gain respect for other people's experiences and are able to hear and accept bad things about our own in-groups and then work on them, these issues will never be resolved. Love the podcast. Thanks.
Great, huge question.
Yeah. I thank you. I mean, really, in a lot of ways, just thank you for the point.
Yeah.
This is a tough moment. I hope this continues to be a tough moment for Americans. I hope we don't let ourselves off too easily here, because
we'll find a way. We'll find a way.
We're starting to hear the ways that people are going to be defending off accusations of sexual harassment, and this first wave of sexual harassers and sexual predators, that they are the only ones to whom this is going to stick, right? And that people like Geraldo Rivera,
clown,
are somehow maybe going to, if allegations come out. Didn't allegations actually come out against him?
Bette Midler went on Barbara Walters, I think, and said that he actually drugged her and groped her in the 70s, maybe.
Yeah.
And then just nothing came of that,
right? And women in the past have come out and said things.
Anita Hill famously, got barbecued,
right?
And she was making incredibly credible, statements,
right?
That a lot of people corroborated. That's the kind of person Clarence Thomas was,
right?
If you're too young or not American, you don't know who Anita Hill is. I think there was just a film about it.
Yeah, there was something.
Yeah. And she's anyway. So, when we were talking about this a little bit before, atheist skeptics,
right?
What is our job?
Right.
It is to constantly examine truth claims and to constantly examine what our own truth claims,
right?
And what we feel about the world, and etc. So this moment that America and hopefully the rest of the world is having, of men especially auditing their past and rewinding the tape,
right,
and saying, oh, fuck, yeah, I did that one thing once, or I was like that, I was that guy,
right?
You and I, two gay men,
yeah,
what did we think? 90 north of 90% of men in America have put someone in a position at some point that was harassing or possibly assaultive. I include myself in that.
Right.
I'm sure, like, when we, especially when we were in the closet, when we were little kids, just fitting in with the boy group.
Right.
I know I did stupid shit.
Right.
I know I said hurtful, stupid things.
Right.
And good. Let's think about that. Let's all of us, you know, I'm just going to speak for my tribe, men. Let's all of us rewind the tape and have this moment and be honest with ourselves.
Right.
Because it can always be better.
Right.
You know, and I think there's people who are afraid of that examination of themselves and their own behavior.
Well, it's difficult.
It's difficult. Hard. And yeah, you might have some real landmines in the past.
Yeah. And you might have to admit that you were wrong.
Right.
You might have to say, I'm sorry.
Right.
You might, you know.
And that's terrifying to people.
Yeah.
And I am willing to bet that's driving a huge amount of this response.
Yeah.
You know, that how dare... Look, there are men who probably in their own minds really, truly believe that they've never been that person.
Right.
Consciously. They think they've never been that person. And maybe they're largely right. But it's not a bad idea to examine it and to think about it. Even if you are a good guy, and there are plenty of good guys.
Right.
It's not all men, sure.
Right.
But don't yell at women experiencing this moment about what, you know, don't tone police women saying that this fucking happens every day and this is a constant problem from girlhood on, and street harassment and boys being shitty in school, you know.
Right. Well, yeah, and I think the one thing that maybe if you're just like, it can't possibly be this pervasive of a problem, just look at the women in your life and the utter lack of surprise on their face that any of this is happening and coming out and that this is news, right? Like, it's so unsurprising to any of them, except maybe on the level of, wow, it's actually happening. We're actually having this discussion.
Right, that they're surprised that suddenly there's a societal penalty for these men.
Wow, that's surprising, but the fact that the men did it, not surprising.
No,
You know?
not surprising.
But it's surprising to men.
Right, and this...
like, just like, what?
And this whole fucking locker room talk.
Yeah.
You know, there's all these dodges, and locker room talk is definitely one of them. Like, that's okay.
Right.
Like, it's okay to speak so disrespectfully about people because of their immutable nature.
Right.
Right. It's why is it different than racism?
Well,
how is it different than racism?
Because the level of homophobia that is going on in the locker room, right? If we're gonna is palpable. And every man walking around with a towel or showering with other men has to be demonstrative of how heterosexual they are.
Right.
Right. Because there's all these naked men around. And of course there's a bunch, and the ones who are probably being the most vocal are the ones who have, you know, a little bit of attraction toward their buddy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That's a super interesting tie-in too, is especially in that moment or in guy moments, in poker games or whatever, the gay panic.
Yeah.
Tying into this, you know, insane misogyny and shit that's abroad in our culture.
Right.
That is, I don't think there's any way to escape that as a huge root cause.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So it's homophobia fueling misogyny.
Yeah. Because you can't have these like
wonderful,
good, positive feelings toward this friend of yours, this other male friend of yours, without having to also be sure that you demonstrate that your affection for him is not sexual.
Yeah.
And so how do you do that? You talk about your conquests and you talk about, you know, whatever.
Just see the on her and
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I think it's the reactions this emailer is getting are stupid and terrible. And you know, men, sometimes it's okay not to say anything. Sometimes just let somebody tell their story and let them feel like they're authentically having a moment of being heard. Yeah. And don't fucking respond. Right. Or just say, thanks, I appreciate you sharing. Right. You can just affirm. Right. Right? Right. Why tone police this woman coming forward and saying, I'm frustrated with this. I've been putting up with this my whole life. Right. You don't know that she hasn't. Right. You know? Just assume she probably has, like you say, based on all the women in your life being like, yawn.
Right.
Yeah, this is how it is. So,
well, all right. Thanks again for the email, and then of course we have to move on and thank a new donor to the show.
Wonderful,
Bree, who is giving at the faithful level. So, new faithful listener, Bree. Thank you so much.
Who doesn't love Bree?
I adore Bree.
I do too.
Nice
Bree, we love you.
Little crackers.
We love your cheese, Bree. Keep making it.
And if you'd like to join Bree, you can do so by going to thankgodimatheist.com and clicking on the support tab. That will take you to Patreon and where you can sign up, become a donor, whatever level you prefer. We have a goal that we're working toward. We're now, thanks to these most recent donations and new subscribers, we're up to 71% of the new goal. And so if you want to come and help us out and help us reach the next level, we'd really appreciate it. And of course, we always have to thank our top donor, our Lord and Savior, Angela.
Wow, she's very generous.
How we thank you.
Yes.
And how she blesses all of us in the name of
Angela. Amen. Forever and ever. Amen.
All right, Mark.
Well, Frank,
it's time to continue our ongoing Roy Moore discussion on Thank God I'm Atheist.
Oh, fuck. This guy. You know, oh, man. Can we? Okay. I want to vote. Let's vote.
Mm-hmm.
I say he can have his big, fancy 5-ton 10 Commandments monument back. If we can set it on his saggy old balls. Who's with me?
I think that's a great idea. No, Roy Moore, sadly, has become this like household name.
Yeah.
I remember, TGIA just celebrated its 6th anniversary.
Yep.
And I remember probably...
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. That almost 6 years ago, probably, or somewhere around the 6-year mark, was the first time I had ever heard the man's name.
Okay.
Dan had an article about one of these 10 Commandment things, and I'm like, who? And he's like, Roy Moore, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I remember just being like, okay.
What a yokel. What a yokel. Who cares?
Right? And clearly this is a name that I'll never have to remember. Right. Like this is just, all right, let's move on. And then he kind of popped up again, and then he popped up again, and then it's a name that I knew. And then all of a sudden, Roy Moore is running for the Senate.
Right.
And it was like, and nobody that I knew had real context for like, oh yeah, Roy Moore, yeah, he sounds like just a, Alabama Republican, exactly what you would expect.
You can beat up on Alabama.
No, he's not just a normal Alabama Republican.
He's a radical.
He is truly, truly radical.
Even among today's Republican Party, even among, I think, the Christian right.
He's
a radical
extremist.
He's an extremist and not a gifted man. He's not. If you hear him speak, his public speaking, again, I love my Southern brothers and sisters. I'm going to adjusted for removing a very, very thick Alabama accent.
Right.
He's still a fucking idiot.
Right.
He's not a smart man.
Right.
But he's tickled all the right G spots of conservative, Southern Christian power.
Right.
And, the fact that he's been fired twice.
From the Supreme Court of Alabama.
Yeah, which unfortunately elects their judges.
Right.
I don't know if it'd be better if they appointed them. Who knows? But if the governor appointed them. But
who can say?
But, both times for acting unconstitutionally.
Right.
Right? For the 10 Commandments monument in the courthouse. And then the second time for refusing to recognize the Supreme Court's decision on marriage equality.
Right, exactly.
Which is the law of the land. That's how it works.
Right.
That's how the judicial system works. You're a judge.
Right. You don't get to opt out.
Right.
That's not how it works.
And he's only more beloved for that.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to throw around their words, judicial activism seems a perfect word to use against and about this man. He doesn't care what the law actually says. He cares what,
Right.
Roy Moore believes.
Right. He believes in a higher law.
In a much higher law.
There was somebody during the Bush years was scolded by in the Senate or something for saying, look, you put your hand on the Bible and swore to uphold the Constitution. You didn't put your hand on the Constitution and swear to uphold the Bible.
That's brilliant.
And that's kind of what, that's how Roy Moore thinks. He's a dominionist Christian.
Right.
I don't know if he's part of the Seven Mountains fucking thing, but he is part of this thing, this complementarianism movement that we...
Yeah. This is some interesting stuff. I wasn't fully aware of it. Complementarianism being sort of this belief held by some conservative Christians and Jewish folk even, and probably other...
Probably a lot of people
who religions that
who believe it but don't know what the word is.
Right. But it's the idea that men and women have different but complementary roles to perform in life, and specifically the household. I think a lot of this is about home life and about society in general, the roles that women should have, the kind of jobs that women should probably have.
Or not have.
Or preferably not have.
Right.
And so consequently... there's a lot that ties into this, and this actually came to my attention thanks to the Religion News Service, something that was up on their site about this something written by a woman by the name of Catherine Brightbill, who is talking about in her article how evangelical courtship culture, which was a new concept for me, normalizes older men dating younger, girls.
Yeah.
And how this is not uncommon for men who are a bit older, late 20s, 30s, whatever, dating teenagers.
Yep.
And because basically these women haven't lived independent lives yet. They haven't had a taste of freedom, and they are still hopefully sort of betrothed to their fathers in those horrible chastity commitment things that it takes what used to just be mildly creepy, this like daddy-daughter dance thing. Yeah. They took that and they turned it into like the most fucked up.
It's a horror show.
Backward thinking.
Yeah.
Women hating.
Yeah.
Things. It's really, really strange.
Yeah. This idea that a girl, let's not use the word woman yet.
Right.
A girl is handed as property from her father to probably a guy close to her father's age.
Sure. Yeah.
And that there's no gap there. There's no independent moment. There's no gap year.
There's no gap year. There's no probably no college.
Oh, for sure.
And
maybe Liberty University, but
yeah, and really, like, you maybe are you even finishing high school from the sound of it? Like, if you're marrying off, if truly you are a child bride.
Yeah.
If you're 16, 17, even 18 years old, when you're getting married, and I would take that even a few years older than that, you're basically a child bride.
Right.
You're probably not ready to be getting into what you're about to be getting into, and you're definitely nobody has that guy doesn't have any business being in a relationship with you.
Well, right. 2 18-year-old kids get married, and I'll bet almost everyone, including some of these people in Alabama, would say, boy, that's a little young for those kids to get married, right? That's pushing it.
Sure.
Now, we're from Utah. It's not uncommon at all.
Right.
In fact, it's fairly common for 21-year-old guys and 19, 20-year-old girls to get married, which is bananas to me.
Right.
But, at least they're contemporaries.
Exactly.
At least these are two people going on life's journey kind of from a similar place.
Yes.
Now, the odds are stacked against them. You get married so young. It's just crazy. Do something else with your life. But the fact that you're just replacing your father with another father.
Right.
Who fucks you.
Right.
Is crazy to me.
Well, but it's to cement the idea for this woman, right, that the male is dominant and the female is submissive.
Totally.
And by using age as the mechanism for that, right, and lack of life experience.
It's a tremendous advantage.
Yeah. That's going to, I don't know if work is the right word, but it's, that it seals the deal. It makes it really hard for that young woman to now have any kind of independence,
exercise any similar. The power dynamic is so skewed,
right? Because he will always be that older man,
right?
Will always be.
She's going into the marriage without $1, right. She's going into the marriage with no education and no advantages for herself, right. But that's the point,
right?
So the same author expanded in the LA Times, and she talks about how this is extremely common in these evangelical communities, that these future husbands, whatever, will start grooming them at like age 13, 14 with daddy's consent, so the women understand what is expected of them,
right? As
far as, well, this is what he likes to eat, this is how he likes his shirts pressed,
right? Go learn from his mother.
Yeah, so it is.
Because I remember that old one. The
bride from his mother.
The bride would go and learn the recipes from. This is pretty old school stuff. Man. But this is but some women would do, right? In certain communities, they would go
in Mormon communities. Go learn some of those.
This was outside of that.
Good recipes.
Here's his favorite casserole. No, but so to tie this back around to Roy Moore, because this is what's important is the fact that he is this guy. And we don't need all of the accusations and all of the stories, right? To know this, we can look no further than his wife,
right? In
order to know that that's who this man is,
right? Because in his defense, one of his rambling, dunderpated defenses of this whole thing was he said that he first noticed his wife when she was 15.
Yeah,
and I think she's 15 years his junior, right? His wife,
yeah. So she was
not a lawyer, but Roy, shut the fuck up.
Right.
Stop talking. But he has all but admitted to it.
Yeah.
And okay, Roy Moore, in addition to being a creeper,
right,
when he was doing this, he was so predacious when he was trying to get these girls, according to their stories, and I have no reason, there's no reason under the sun to disbelieve what these women are saying.
Right.
Because coming forward means your life is fucking over.
Right.
Right. So these women have come forward. He was an officer of the court. He was a district attorney. His job was to prosecute people doing this kind of thing.
Right.
And he would hang out outside of custody hearings where children are sometimes sent out of the courtroom so they can't hear some terrible thing their parents are arguing about. And these children in their most vulnerable state, here comes an authority figure and says, hey, let's go to the woods. Ugh. And then he'd take them, drive out to the woods or wherever he did and tried to assault them. So not only was he just a standard creeper,
right?
He was a law enforcement official, essentially, right. Which is doubly, triply, quadruply fucked up,
right,
and disgusting, because he probably knew exactly what he could do to get away with it.
Yeah.
So, and then he got banned from the mall. He got banned from the mall because he was too big a creeper. Can we just be done with this?
That's enough for me.
Yeah.
Insane. I don't know how you go from being banned from a shopping mall because you were going after the young girls to being on the Supreme Court of, Alabama.
Yeah.
Being this is insanity. How does this happen?
Right. Well, you and I are certainly familiar enough with the insanity of red state politics.
Sure. Yes.
Right. And so, yes, Alabama, we're taking a shit on you because of Roy Moore, but, we gave the world Jason Chaffetz. So I feel like we're not so different, you and us, Alabama. And, certainly our church and state, fights are intense and huge.
Right.
In Utah.
Right.
So I get it. Somehow the worst can rise to the top.
Sure.
Yeah. But the fact that I think he's pulling a little ahead in most polls of Doug Jones, who by all metrics is he's a pillar of the community.
Yeah.
Right. A decent man who broke open the cold case of the 16th Street Church bombing, which was in 1963, I think, in Birmingham.
Yeah.
And, I think one KK member got caught because he was just even stupider than most. And then there was no appetite in Bull Connor's,
Right.
Alabama to really find out, to bring everybody to justice.
Right, exactly.
And when Doug Jones got into the DA's office, he said, open that cold case. This is what we're doing.
Wow.
And he tracked these guys down and prosecuted them, and they are in jail.
Right.
The surviving KKK guys are in jail. So that guy is soft on crime and bad for, whatever Trump says he's bad for.
Right.
So, by the way, driving over here, I saw Air Force One fly over.
Right. Because Trump's in town.
And I was driving on the freeway, and it flew over. And rather than the kind of sense of giddy childhood, like, oh my God, there's the president, I just felt sick. Because from this flight, he called Roy Moore to endorse him and said, you have my endorsement.
Oh.
So this is a fascinating moment, Frank, because, those of us in the skeptical community have always known the Christian right is a bullshit. It's a facade.
Right.
They stand for nothing except power and domination.
Right.
But they've managed to fool a lot of people, right, thinking that they're actually moral.
Yeah.
But I think everything about them and who they are and what they believe and the veneer that they've tried to convince us is real is wrapped around the axle of this Roy Moore train wreck. Mm. So, if anything indeed matters anymore, this should be Waterloo for the Christian right, because they're all, what major Christian right figure has come out against Roy Moore? I can't think of a single one, and I've been paying attention.
Right.
Anyway.
Well, there you have it, I guess.
Yeah.
Just another nugget, just another way to understand this.
So the election is December 12th.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see. I think if he loses, there's going to finally be a level of panic in the conservative politics that maybe they're going to have their soul searching moment. Who knows if they're capable? You have to have a soul to search it.
Right, exactly.
But
they sold that a long time ago.
There's no guarantee he's going to lose.
Which is it's truly unbelievable to me.
Right.
Like I just like I don't believe it. I cannot. It's I can't believe Donald Trump is president.
Right.
That same thing that took so long to wrap my head around.
Yeah. That every day is a new unfolding, many splendored clusterfuck.
Yeah.
But, the people who are supporting more, the Christian right people who are supporting more, of course, the first go-to is demonize the women. Mm-hmm. They're all liars because all women are Jezebels and whores, and that's, why they have to be passed from their father to their new father.
Right.
Because they can't be trusted. They have an animal instinct that must be controlled by men at all times. But then they have all these other carve-outs that are, Trump is King David. He's an imperfect messenger for God's vessel. He's an imperfect vessel for God's message.
Right.
They have all these little biblical outs, which I just beginning to think that the Bible might be problematic. So
you're just coming to this?
Yeah, it's just suddenly occurring to me live on the podcast. But they always have these outs.
Yeah.
They never have to confront that their movement is garbage. They never have to confront that it is incompatible with modernity and legalism and everything that modern civilization is. They are not.
Right.
And they just keep finding a way to excuse fucking rapists and. That they're the president, the hill they're going to die on is Donald Trump and Roy Moore, and Trump is, the 7 deadly sins made flesh.
Right.
And yet no Democrat was ever perfect enough.
Right.
The standards that they hold all the rest of us to,
right,
that they want all of society held to, that do not apply to themselves.
Right. because we are okay with abortion and gay marriage.
Right.
I mean, that's it.
And then women marrying whoever the fuck they want or not.
Right.
On their own time.
Right.
Right.
This is the culture war. It's not over.
Right.
They are still fighting.
And what's crazy is
hard.
The standard I hold myself to is the standard I will hold anybody else to.
Yeah.
There's no difference there.
Right.
But they want all of us to be held to these antediluvian, Old Testament standards that do not apply to them.
But that's the point. They don't care about holding an individual to a standard, or at least that's what I'm kind of starting to realize.
Right.
They only care about their 2 or 3 issues.
Yeah.
And that's it. Right. Everything else be damned.
Right.
Everything else.
It's just power and domination.
Yeah.
And that they don't want to pay taxes.
Right.
Now, if you or I ran for office as a gay man, it would be the end of the world.
Right.
They would scream to high heaven because we're sexual deviants and sexual predators. The same fuckers that are supporting Roy Moore support bathroom bills, anti-trans bathroom bills, because those people are predators. Well, here this guy is, almost provably a sexual predator. Well, God's forgiven him.
Right.
Or I don't believe you, or you're all liars.
Right.
I mean, it's just...
He'll vote with the president.
Right. He'll vote with this other fucking horrible sex pest, misogynistic, evil bastard. It's just... It's crazy making. This is... I'm 19 years old, and look how gray I am, because that's how crazy making this whole thing is, right? And they wonder... All these conservative religions wonder why young people are just walking away in droves.
Right.
And yet this is how they behave.
Right.
So.
Well, then, I mean, are they, digging their own grave?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, does this when and how soon does this come to a head? I need it to come to a head. Sometime this year.
I need a day off.
Or sometime in the next year.
Right? It's just I need to
it
not
needs
open
to implode. It needs to the emperor has no clothes.
Right.
And we all need to just accept it and see it. And
even if Roy Moore does flame out, they have, the religious right and the politically very, very conservative right, even if they're not super religious, always have this other out, which is conservatism didn't fail. This person failed conservatism, right? So Roy Moore, it's if he has to be, this is the other thing that makes me nuts about it: the importance of a scapegoat. Just let one guy go down, just burn him down, just act like you care about these crimes, and pull your support, and have one sacrificial lamb. But they just can't. They, you know what I mean? Look how quickly. The left side of the universe discarded Harvey Weinstein,
right.
And Al Franken, who in his political life has been nothing but a champion for the underdog. He really pushed through all of this protections for rape in the military. If these things are true about him, dude, what the fuck?
Right.
You should go. John Conyers, you should go. They can't just pin all their sins on one schmuck and put him out on an ice floe. They're just unable to lose. They can't let that happen.
Well, then the whole thing comes crumbling down because how many, how far does it go?
Yeah.
Right. And I don't know.
Yeah.
They're a different beast than
they are a different animal.
Anyway.
So come on, Alabama. You can do this. Your friends from Utah. Once in a while, the good guys win. So make it happen, Alabama.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if you have anything that you'd like to add to this conversation, please do so. We'd love to hear from you. The email address is podcast@thankgodimatheist.com. Or you can call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number to do that is 424-666-8442. And then, go find us on Facebook, facebook.com/TGIAtheist. And, also on Facebook, we have the TGIA Members Only Lounge. It's worth searching for and becoming a member. There's a great community there just waiting for you to become a member of it. And you can watch us on YouTube, youtube.com/TGIAtheist. And you can give us on Patreon. just go to our website. And thank you, Mark, for being here.
Happy to be here. It's been a while. I'm so happy to be back, Frank.
It's great.
Such wonderful subject matter today.
No, I really appreciate you coming on. Of course, we also need to thank Mackenzie, who posts everything on Facebook. And then...
and the Red Rock Hot Club for their amazing music.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Gordon Johnston for the use of his music.
Oh, yes.
We'd like to thank him as well.
He's got a wonderful organ.
Indeed.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening.
Thanks.
We sure do appreciate you. Bye-bye.